Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for our evening of June 29th, 2017. I'd like to welcome you all. First on the agenda, we want to talk about voting the clerk of the Board of Selectmen, sitting to my left. Yes?
Yes, so do you want me to make a motion?
I'd love it.
I make a motion to appoint John Jeffries as clerk of the Board of Selectmen for this coming fiscal year.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you
Excellent.
very much.
Congratulations.
Notice there was no option not to accept.
Chief?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And moving right along, Chief McGowan.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm pleased tonight to bring forth another recommendation for a part-time police officer hiring. Jim McMeekin, here with his family, comes to us. He's a full-time dispatcher in Natick, and he's decided he's going to be a police officer, and we're going to help him get there. He's a graduate of UMass Amherst, and he has experience, as I said, in the Natick Police Department. The timing of him coming to us is fortuitous. We've lost two of our recent hires. Cal Cobblick has just been hired, and Sharon full-time, and Laura was just hired to Holy Cross College. So the trouble with hiring such great candidates is we tend to lose them to other opportunities. So Jim fits that mold quite well as far as great candidate. He's shown in just a short time I've known him great sense of self, and I think he gets what it takes to be a good police officer here in town. So I'm hoping the board accepts my recommendation and moves to hire.
Thank you very much. Welcome. We'll all be voting, but it's a wonderful thing, and thank you to the family for coming as well. Any comments? Any questions?
UMass Amherst. I like them already.
Yeah, it's
So I found
terrific.
School of Business.
Uh-huh. Whoa,
2 for 2.
There we go.
very nice. Excellent.
Congratulations. It's going to be a great town.
Any
Oh, just congratulations, and we're happy to have you here.
Delighted. Then I'd like to move that we accept James McMeekin as our new special officer for the Danbury Police Association. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry. What did I say?
Danbury.
Oh, my goodness, excuse me.
I thought I misheard.
Oh, my goodness, I apologize. All right, absolutely.
This is the problem with live television. Now, you do know you report to Dover, not Danbury. That was your first test. Okay. It's a further commute for you,
Yes,
Danbury.
right, exactly. You can tell 30 years in the Danbury area, so I apologize. Let me start again. I would like to move that we appoint James McMeekin for Special Officer for the Dover Police Department.
I'll second that one.
All in favor? Aye. Welcome. That's great.
When do you start?
To Dover.
Well, July 1st, new fiscal year, we have to do the usual caveats of physical, psychological, and the PAT test from the state of Massachusetts. So we're hoping to have him up and running the second or third week of July, get into our training program, and rolling right into the 2 openings we have.
It's wonderful. Well, again, we're delighted to have you. Thank you so much, and
Thank
to
you.
all of you for coming. Thank you so much. Yeah, great. To Dover, not Danbury. Thank you so much, Chief. Thank you. Thank you.
Danbury.
Oh.
Now, it recently.
Our next on the agenda is to execute the agreement between, this is very appropriate too, the town of Dover and the Dover Police Association. I want to say it was a wonderful process, the negotiation this year, and we're so pleased to have an agreement. So I'd like to move that we accept and execute the agreement between the town of Dover and the Dover Police Association. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we need to specify that this is a 3-year agreement, or no?
Well, executing it is.
Okay.
It's worth noting, it is a 3-year deal.
3-year agreement. That's great, thanks very much. And moving on, Michael Larkin about County Road.
Execution copy. Do we have the execution copies? Excuse me.
Do all 3 of us need to sign? Thank you.
And then switch. I apologize. I forgot the second round. Second round.
No, I'm good. I'll watch on
Give
TV.
me on that.
Absolutely fine.
I like the color of your folder. It matches my attire today.
Well planned.
Yeah.
Was it?
We're set, thank you, we just had some housekeeping. Thank you.
My name is Michael Larkin. I'm from the Larkin Real Estate Group. I'm here with Patrick Larkin, my partner in that group. I'm also here with Peter Jackson, who's a partner in this entity proposing to put on the board today, which is Dover Woods LLC. As a backdrop, myself and Patrick have done multiple projects in the past, primarily in the North Shore, but since 2012, we've primarily worked in Medfield. We've completed a 4-unit project. We just finished, which is 2013. We then completed a 10-unit project in 2015, and we're just now kicking off a 50-unit project on Hospital Road, which is actually a 40B in Medfield, where we did propose 48 units, and working with the town, we get another additional extra unit in the town for a 13 unit, where only 12 were required, so they were able to meet their safe harbor requirements to get to where they needed to be for future development in the town. So one of the things the reason we're here today is, like what we did in Medfield, was want to reach out to, say, the town manager, yourselves, to express what we're doing here today, rather than what a lot of developers do is kind of just submit the application to mass housing, show it to you guys at one time, and then we all get into a back and forth, maybe more confrontational. So what we did there is we spent many meetings with the town planner, the town selectmen, the town administrator, different persons, to go over the kind of proposals we submitted to them, to try to get the best proposal, and ultimately then, with that in mind, we then submitted to mass housing, which we then got a eligibility letter, and now we've got approvals from them, and now we're, as I said, we're under construction, which is right down the street from on Hospital Road. So we initially, back a few months ago, went out to the property. This is for 61 and 63 County Street. So I don't know if you guys know, right next door there actually was, back a few years ago, there was another 40B approved on 2067 County Road. There's 4 units right there where the old gas station, Mexico gas station was, which is then right next to Tisdale, which is more heavily denser development there. So we're actually right next door to that 67 County Road, which is the parcel next door. So the parcel here next door is actually made up of 2 parcels, both 1 acre each. So what we've done in the last few months, we went out, of course, it's on septic, we went out and did some soil testing. We did an initial review. We had Mike Engineering witness those results, and so we got results which would allow us to do 5,500 gallons of water, which would allow for approximately 48 bedrooms. So using that data, then we came back to meet with Dave, give an overview with Dave Ramsey, and he recommended that we come to you and talk to you about different alternatives that we could do with the property. Of course, with the 40B, Dover is not meeting the requirements, so this is something that we could do and propose to the community of Dover. So what we did in Medfield, we were doing a for sale development. We're actually doing a rental development in Peabody, so there is different options to do. Generally, for sale development is less dense than a rental development, and likewise the renters are more dense. So with that data, using the 5,500 gallons, rated and 48 bedrooms, we did an alternative mix of different types of layouts for the developments. The reason we picked this area of town as well, it's kind of, as you know, going out 109, it's on the Dover, Walpole, Medfield line, it's like a little triangle right there. So, and of course, it's in a neighborhood where there's similar situated density, where it's a high density store, and of course, it's Tisdale as well. So rather than being up this neck of the woods where the density is 2x plus, we're in somewhere that there's higher density in this neighborhood. So what we propose is three different types of proposals which we want to kind of talk to you about, do an open discussion, see what you like, what you don't like, and then with that, using that discussion, see what we could do moving forward, if there's a viable option for our company. So our initial proposal is this 12-unit development. It's proposal number 1. So the house we built, we can see this here, it might be your package number 1. You should have a sample house.
Is it on your 2?
Yeah, it's on 2 as well. Yeah, it's on both of them. So what the houses are, approximately 2,400 square foot, 2.5-story capes. From the outside, they're not too high, but a lot of volume inside. What we primarily cater for and what we've done in the past is for our first floor master, which caters towards a community of people who are downsizing from a larger home, with a first floor master suite, where they, then extra bed upstairs, where kids, grandkids can buy and sleep upstairs. But primarily, what we created in essence is a master suite area where we have the living room, dining room, kitchen, and master bedroom all at one level.
Where are these, Michael? Where are these pictures taken?
This is our project we did in North Street in Medfield.
So these are the ones, if you're proceeding towards, in Medfield, going towards Walpole on the left-hand side?
They're right, the post office in Medfield.
Right, so it's that little circle.
That's us. So we did that one right there.
Okay.
So, and this would be similar to.
Exactly, it's similar styles.
So these are all detached?
Yep, so we have that, in that complex, there was 2 detached and then 4 units which were attached. So in total 8 units in the existing 2-family with 3 cabs. So we're proposing here, this proposal here would be,
Say that again? How many?
and what we did was 10 units, and this proposal here would be 12 units in total.
How many acres is this unit?
This one was, maybe it was less than that, it was just 1 acre, wasn't it?
I want to go in Medfield, 60,000.
60,000.
Wow, that's really dense.
Yeah, they have that UD, which is like an in-town development kind of thing. So when you, and because we're out walking distance of town, so we met the zoning requirements, so it didn't meet the zoning requirements at that time.
It's
So-
just this little circle.
Yeah,
Yep,
So it's across from the Montford School.
across from the school.
exactly, right there.
It's just past the new police
It's
station.
new,
Exactly.
it recently went.
Yeah, just, we dropped it over in
Yeah.
2015, 16.
Have all those units sold?
Yep. Also.
That's great. And then there was a house in front, and so it was like a cul-de-sac in the back. and then-
Exactly, what we did with the historical commission is that the house in front was in pretty good shape. We didn't spend more money than we thought, like every older house, there's a lot more renovation needed, but I think it was a good central focal point to be able to work in it. So when you look at the streetscape, what we did there is we took away the garages from the front and one of the sides. So you drive down the streetscape, you see the house, the older house, and then the other house, but you don't see like a litany of garages. So it was like for a streetscape aspect. So when you drive down there, it would be more appealing.
Is that house a business? Did you
It's
convert
actually
that to business?
two condo units, two
Business.
separate units, yeah, so actually 2 separate units, residential.
Residential?
Yeah, so 2 separate units, one person on one side, it was actually divided right down the center. So it was 2 condos we rehabbed and then sold and then we did the development around.
So I don't mean to jump ahead, but it looks to me as though a plan is for 12 units and another plan is for 16 units.
Yeah, and they're smaller units, that's why, yeah.
And then the third one would be an apartment.
Yeah, so that's what we're just gonna give you different plans. So I can go through it quickly there. The second side is 16 units, but these are small units, these are 70, 190 units per foot, so different style units, but, at a lower price point. Still the same kind of layout here with that hammerhead, and just for, notice that the area in the back is where the septic system would be. You do the driveway. There is good sight lines down here. We have to do some landscaping to take the buffer back, just for extra visibility. And we did talk to initially the next door neighbor. I think his concern, next door neighbor, was that we didn't create a corridor effect, because he has a fence, there was a lot going on, as you know, next door neighbor. So we're just talking about screening and plantings and stuff, so we'll be able to work with him, I think, hopefully on that. So that's a different style unit, 70 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 or 3 bedrooms, those types of developments.
I realize that this is probably not a part of your plan, but is it very premature to talk about what a price point difference would be between the smaller unit versus the larger unit?
I think Patty's part of our program, so I think it's on
The smaller unit, this would be somewhat similar to the development that was built that's been sold out next door. So the home sizes would be comparable. They're in the 700 to 900 range.
The smaller or the
The
larger?
smaller unit would be the 700 range and the larger one would be the 900 range.
I see.
Similar to
I
the
see.
development that was built in the other 40B project.
I see.
And it's just for clarification, so you guys know, so in the first development, there's 12 units, 3 are affordable. So basically, it was a 3-bedroom unit that would be sold to someone in the community here. What we did in Medfield is we did a 70% preference to the local community. So 70% of the units that we put as affordable were for people in the town. So they would be sold in the 220 range. Exact same unit on the outside, different interior, wouldn't get everything inside exactly, but on exterior-wise, you wouldn't be able to recognize who's who from a full unit, from a market unit, everything the exact same.
If a person purchases the $220,000 unit, is there a requirement that they occupy it for a period of years or months or?
Yes, they have to be a homeowner, and there's a whole lot of documentation, like regular agreements, D riders. So once they buy it for that price, that's 220, they can't just return it and resell it for a higher price. It's fixed with an index. So and then whoever wants to do it, what they do, the process for them would be to create, there's an affordable housing plan that's set in place, which is part of mass housing. Then they do a lottery in town. People would get chosen to a lottery, and then they get picked for their unit. So they would meet certain income requirements. They would make less than $75,000 a year, which is still a lot of money. But this is what gets into this affordable unit.
And tell me again the percentage that you said?
At 25% affordable. So the first project, we were proposing 3 affordables. The second would be 4 affordables. And again, they'd be in the $200,000 to $220,000 range. So exact same exterior. What we did before is the hardback siding, the exact trim. Also means low maintenance for the condominium complex. So that's what we're looking at there. Keep going? Sure. So the third proposal, again, all the discussion is that a different type of, again, it can meet with the requirements from the septic between 24 and 30 units. If we did a mix of 1, 2, and 3, what the reason for 3-bedroom units is the state requires in any project like that, they require 10% of the rental units to be 3 bedrooms. So this one would be 2.5, which is 3. So hopefully it'd be 3 units, 3-bedroom units. Again, 1 and 2 bedrooms, mostly 80% of them, and 3 bedrooms as well. This one, as you can see from the site, doesn't take up as much site. We do parking underneath. The way the site is situated, the way it exists right now, it comes up and it drops down, so we could have people coming in and parking underneath the building from the rear. So if you come up, so this would be flush, be set back, parking underneath, and then come into the building right here. So this here is just for a visual illustration. It's not the final one at all. It can be changed in any way, but it's a general kind of concept of what would happen. So this one here, they would just come in, pull them underneath in the back. So again, what we're trying to do is, open things for discussion. The difference, ultimately, what happens with the affordable housing, and if you guys know this is, so for sale development, so we did 12 or 16, 25% would count, which would be 3 or 4. For rental development, if we did 24, 28 units, every single unit would count under your housing numbers. So we'd say it would be 24 units, and all those 24 units would count towards your housing affordable units, which would be subsidized housing units. So again, it's just a different concept, different, see what is, this is even an option, or whether would you stay with just kind of for sale development. And that's why I just want to reach out and do exactly what we did with the town of Medfield as well. What do you guys want to do? Does this make sense? Does it not make sense? And I think that's with that kind of conversation, we can get somewhere that, you know, we can get a proposal that would make sense for everybody. We don't, but we want to, like, initially we had a project in Medfield was Dale Street, where they pretty much came with 200 units, 100 units per acre, so they were looking for 100 units of this property. We're not. So, you know, but then they're looking for 100 units an acre, filed, met with the town once, and then have their application to mass housing. So that's where you get that kind of combative experience. So again, what we did is we met them, went through a bunch of meetings and different designs, ultimately reduced our numbers, and they came back. And then, so when we did go to the ZBA, everyone had seen it, you know, so it was about, we just did the final engineering, make sure that it worked, it does, and now we're starting construction on that project. So I think that's a better way to approach it with every town. Every town has their reservations about every development, but I think this is the way we want to do it.
I understand. Do you have anything you would like to question?
I think it makes a lot of sense to have more conversations. The decision doesn't lie just with us.
Right, of course.
You know, there needs to be conversations with us, with the planning board, with the Board of Health. And I'm sure you weren't expecting a decision this evening. Right. But you know, so I do.
Signed signatures.
Right.
So we've done exactly what you said there. So we'd like a development review team meeting where we have the Board of Health, the planning board, the different departments all sit in and kind of go over again, police department, DPW, everyone kind of give their comments. I don't like this, if you do this, I need a bigger turnaround, fire chief, all that kind of stuff. So that's exactly what we did. We submitted the plans to everybody for comments and review. So everyone can get a say and say what was interesting and what was not.
I just wanted to ask one first, please.
This could be the first time ever, Jerry, that I actually get to speak before you. So,
Actually, mean to interrupt you.
so 2 acres, point to where the gas station was, where the,
Right here.
okay. And so on the
4 units right there.
4 units there, and what's behind the gas station? So if you pardon.
There's a single family home right here. Right next to that is Tisdale.
Yep.
Units right here. And everything around this is all, in essence, conservation land right here. So the pond right here, and then, but everything else, all this whole area is all conservation.
Single family to the right.
And again, there's a single family right there.
And where are you getting the 5,500 gallons that you think?
This whole section here. So with the soil testing we did, it was good gravel right back there. That was a good location for it. We tested throughout the whole site, but as we moved closer to this area here, it was good, decent, very good.
And how far down were you, do you know?
And I think we did at least 10 feet. It required, I think Michael President 10 feet.
Mr.
Jerry Clark, Chairman of the Board of Health. I'm sorry, I was a little bit late. So in the back end of the property, that's where you expect to put a field?
Correct.
Okay. So you won't be using either access to either the Walpole or Medfield utilities for that purpose?
For the septic.
Right. Will you be using Walpole water or Medfield water?
Water.
Okay, that was my main question.
Because the difference is unique about this is that there is water on the street here, with the local water which feeds this whole district here.
That's logical.
Yeah, so that's why we're able to do what we do.
I misunderstood. I thought she was sourcing your water.
Oh, no, sorry. No, sorry. So the septic.
So your water is coming from Walpole?
Correct, that's
Got it.
correct.
Okay.
That's
That makes a lot of sense.
You're
That's what I was
right.
asking you about depth.
Yeah, and Walpole, right?
Right.
Well, no, Walpole's the other side of the street. It's a very
Right, exactly.
peculiar situation where that side of the street and the midline of the street to where your property would be is Dover property, but from the midline of the street looking the opposite side is Walpole. It's a very confusing situation.
Yes, so it's like within 3 seconds, you're gone through 3 tanks.
Right.
Go
Watch
with
what
Walpole.
happens, watch what happens when a motor vehicle accident occurs there. You have all 3 towns showing up.
Well, there you have the new police officer, it would be helpful.
Well, if there are no further questions, I want to thank you for coming in with us. I think we'll be interested to to see what your next steps are.
So what I'm thinking, should I reach out to David and Mr. Ramsey to try to set up a development review team meeting? Is that the way to recommend?
We could do that.
Okay.
Sure.
That would be fun.
Yeah, so I can coordinate with Dave and do that. That's the best way to do
That
it.
makes sense. So that we can get some of the other commissions and boards
I think we
involved.
need a working group
Right.
type thing so that everybody's represented at meetings and
No, that's what we
everybody
expect.
shares in
That's what we
in
expect.
the information. Right?
Right.
Michael, so just for one clarification, Medfield's completed, the project you illustrate here,
And now we're actually in the process of doing a 50-unit development in Medfield right now.
just up the street on
On
Hospital.
Hospital Road, correct, yeah.
And 50 units on how many acres?
7 acres.
7 acres, okay. What was proposed, was your proposal part of the process that's just north of that, or going towards Sherburne from that? Wasn't there another proposal as well?
That was in Dale Street.
No, I mean, we're right before the hospital. So yours is just south of the hospital,
Yeah.
right?
I think that.
Yeah, we're next door.
We're next door to the hospital, yeah, so it's the hospital, and that's right, us next door.
And there was nothing else proposed, whether yours or someone else?
No, that was
closer to
just
the
us, we're going to
Yes.
project proposal on
Yeah.
hospital.
Yeah.
hospital?
And if you want to, we can coordinate, we have a model home right now, so if you want to see what a model home would look like, just to actually get a sense of it. If you want, I can coordinate with Dave, so if someone wants to combine, so we can coordinate that, that's not a problem.
That's always helpful.
So you can physically see what we're building right now, and how we, what we, hopefully, we want to say we're good, people, we're well known in the town now, we've done a lot of good stuff, I think it's a quality product, that's how we bring to the table, we're building quality products which we can leave, and people will be happy with, so that's what we're really looking to do.
How is the Hospital Road project financed?
And I think it's true mass housing, but it's also through Eden Bank, so it's a partnership between Eden Bank. Yeah,
Have you done any projects in Dover?
not yet, no.
Well, I've certainly watched the clearing of the land on Hospital Avenue. That's been going on a year,
Yeah.
even more perhaps,
Exactly.
has it?
Yeah, the permitting process is, as you know, so even like, so for a timeline, even if things were to go swimmingly today, this is like a year process between, meetings with you guys, reviews, then ultimately send it to DHD, which takes, the Mass Housing, which takes another 3 months. Then within that, you also get to, they send out a request for comments, which again, the town would then review again, once we do a final submittal, and then we come back to the ZBA, then that's another 6-month process. So the whole process ultimately takes approximately a year to get done.
In the back of that Hospital Road project, there's trails that lead all the way back to the high school. And so was there any type of conservation restrictions, or did you do any type of modification? And did you meet from a conservation standpoint to keep green space and open space or anything? No?
Yeah, so on our one, so we have, we have green spaces in the front, but we also created that people can access to the trails through their walls in the back, so residents here can access and go through there, through that there to the area. So to keep those trails going.
Well, we thank you very much for coming in this evening. Thank you all. Very helpful to see the beginning information after various start.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
much appreciated to get an understanding of the scale and the scope of what your options are.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Happy 4th.
The next item on the agenda is to speak about the process for booking space at the Carroll Community Center. And I would love it if you would speak to that, Mr. Ramsey. Thank
Certainly,
you.
Madam Chair.
Change in the process.
So currently, the space under the control of the Board of Selectmen over there, it's essentially 3 rooms. Requests are made to the building maintenance superintendent for permission to use that space. And then the rest of the space, which is under Park and Rec's control, it's to a separate phone number at Park and Rec. This proposal is simply to move the phone calls to Park and Rec. We'd still get the revenue that we're entitled to for our spaces, but the Park and Rec director has agreed he would handle all the phone calls for our space and coordinate any concerns that he might have with Carl, so that it's a seamless operation to the person who's looking to rent the space.
Excellent. I think it makes a great deal of sense. In fact, my understanding is that there was one particular classroom that was a prime spot for birthday parties, and so people would call Parks and Rec thinking that he could sign that up, but that was under the purview of the selectmen. So this makes a great deal of sense. Thank you. Any other questions?
No. Do we need to vote on that, or?
Right.
Okay.
Would you like to?
Sure, so I'll make a motion to change the process for booking space at the Carroll Community Center, whereby all room reservations can be made directly through the Park and Rec Department.
Excellent. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. And the next on our agenda is the agreements at the Carroll Community Center. Would you like to speak to that? Thank you very much.
As you know, the current license agreements with the tenants, the 3 tenants at the Carroll Community Center are expiring on June 30th. And we have approached them, Mr. Ramsey approaches them and inquires as to whether or not they wish to continue to lease that space under a license agreement. And Parent Talk has once again expressed their interest in entering into a new FY18 license agreement with the town with a 5% increase over their current rent. So that would be for $2,877.53 per month. The second tenant is Erin's School of Dance, and what is Erin's last name?
I didn't know she had one.
Ms. McCann, thank you, who's been there for many years, has every year agreed to the 5% increase. Some of the other tenants have negotiated lower percentages. This year she's asking for special dispensation and requesting that her monthly rent be at a 0% increase. Her enrollments are significantly down. She's tried to add in adult programs. Right now she's pretty much breaking even, and she's concerned that if there's an increase, she will not be able to continue to occupy that space. In addition to renting for many years at the Carroll Community Center and benefiting a lot of local residents, she formerly had her school of dance in the lower level where the conference room is here, and she was part of the Park and Recreation program. So she's asking if the board would consider, and Mr. Ramsey is recommending a 0% increase, so we can keep her in that space.
Thank you very much. That's a great explanation. And I have heard about her dance classes right here in the basement here, which
Yes.
is amazing.
Yeah.
We're very lucky to have them as tenants and very lucky to have long-term tenants. It speaks so highly to everything in Dover, so I'm delighted. I have no problem with that, but I'd love to open it up and be sure that John and Robin are fine with that.
I'm perfectly fine with it. I have no problem with it as well. And I also just think in terms of, the community center, this is, in my mind, this is the sense of community. This is what the community center is all
Right.
about. So I don't think that we necessarily need to be in the business of being, landlords in that type of capacity of raising the rent year after year after year because it's a business and so forth and so on. So as long as it is providing a community service, which I really do think it does. It's great to see it. We have had many nice opportunities to get to see the kids coming and going. I would also just like to suggest, one of the things, Dave, that the folks that rent a similar situation at the Legion have is they have an, I'll call it an amnesty program, where if the kids can't get there, if there's weather that's really, you go through a patch where it's a very difficult situation for the people to run their program, they suspend the rent for a month, or whatever the situation is.
They sort of flow with it.
Exactly.
Right, that's nice.
So I would just, you don't I'm not suggesting we make that a point to do that this evening, but I would suggest that be open to that type of a thing as we consider uses for the community center going forward, as we consider expanding programs and so forth, that be something we have possibly as an option.
Nice, nice. Robin?
I also have no issue maintaining the rent at the same level for this year. I do think, though, we need to be very proactive with Ms. Aaron to determine whether or not, her business continues to be viable, because at some point, she may not, she may find that it's just not economically feasible for her to continue to run the business and to utilize the space. And so, as a business, we should be, if this is going to become available, we should be marketing that it comes available. So I'm not suggesting that we market the space while she's still in it, but just, have more frequent conversations with her during this year to see if her business is picking up.
Well, I wish her the best, and I would take a motion on each of them separately on Parent Talk.
So I move that we approve the proposal for a revised
5%, I believe.
5%.
Parent Talk.
for Parent Talk.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And John, on the second one for Aaron's dance?
And for Aaron's dance, propose that we move the limit
To maintain.
0%. Continue with a 0%, I guess would be the correct, continue with a 0%.
And Ronnie, would you say?
I second that, and
Excellent.
maintaining the rent at $1,402.80 a month.
Excellent, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good.
Oh, there, I'm sorry, it's right on the second page. I apologize.
Ms. McCampbell, thank you very much for that. She's really collaborative with the community.
Right, I can tell.
And really wants to continue. She loves what she does with the children.
Wonderful.
And potentially adults.
I'm interested in that myself.
The other thing I was thinking about, there is a certain ebb and flow with all of our activities, and it can vary greatly from year to year. I think sometimes it has to do with children seeing what their best friends are doing.
Right.
Oh my gosh, if they're doing dance, I want to do dance too, kind of thing. And so it does tend to go in waves, I think. You can see the same thing happen with tennis, lots of different activities ebb and flow. So we wish Erin the best. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry to hold you all up. Mona, I don't know what I would do without the sign here tabs.
All of us.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you very
Best
much.
invention ever.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, and we're close. Determine the Selectmen's fall and winter and spring meeting schedule. We are set for, our next meeting is for the 20th of July.
Right.
And then, if I recall, we selected a middle of the month for
Right, I want to
August.
say August 17th.
I think that's correct.
I think you're right.
That is correct, yes.
Does that work for you?
It does.
Good. We hated to speak for you when you were not here, so that's kind of why I wanted to be sure you're fine with
I
that.
believe I have my first college drop-off on the 18th.
Oh, my goodness.
No,
Okay.
not first.
Okay. No,
Not
but I
first
mean-
ever, I'm first of the year.
But you'll be able to leave on the 18th, don't have to be okay, all right, great. Let's talk, I'm
If you
sorry.
need us to, why don't you check at
I'll check,
home?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
because we have
Sure we
flexibility.
do, absolutely. If it's inconvenient, we can definitely shift it.
It's that weekend for sure, but
Is everyone comfortable with Thursday night? This is a tradition.
I would, it's much easier for me knowing if it's either Wednesday night or Thursday night. So I am really good with Thursday night.
Thursday's fine. Is everyone fine with Thursday? Mona and Greer, and you're fine with Thursday? Okay. Then thinking about Thursdays, now we also have an opportunity to do first and third, although as you can see, we run into a holiday on the 21st. So in September, I guess I'd be looking at the 14th and 28th.
That
Does
works for me.
that work for you?
Yeah.
And I think that we're fine without a conflict on the 29th. If we are,
Ms. McKean?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Would that interfere with getting the non-union cost of living adjustment vote in a timely enough fashion?
I don't know, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
So let's set the schedule and
okay,
figure out.
and if we have
it works.
if we need to
Yeah.
move it up, in other words, you're saying we could do the 7th, would it make more sense to do the 7th and the 28th?
I'm, that week's out for me.
Oh, the first week of September?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
We'll make it
I mean,
work.
you could-
Okay.
okay. So we'll do the 14th and the 28th of September, and then in general, would you like to go back to the 1st and 3rd? Do you normally travel the first week of the month?
Traditionally, first week or last week, so.
So would you like to stay at 2nd
So
and
then
4th?
Then it makes sense.
Does that work for you? 2nd and 4th? I can certainly live with 2nd and 4th. Now we run into Thanksgiving, but would you like to make it the 30th instead of the 23rd? Since there are 5 Thursdays in November?
Yes, why don't we do
Okay,
that? and
the
then come
9th and the 30th. December, let's think a little bit about, that's vacation week. In December, would you all be interested in shifting it to the 7th and the 21st, or does that not make sense to have us back to, never makes sense to have 2 meetings back-to-back, does it?
7th to 21st would,
See, it's back-to-back with our November meeting.
You will be in the midst of operating budgets.
Right.
and the warrant.
You know, the other thing is just to maybe move this to the 22nd.
Although people are cooking that night,
That's
all of
right,
us.
Right. Okay.
The other thing that I was going to say is, it does seem to me in the past that we've entertained the possibility of a single meeting in December.
I think that's right. If we plan according to this, Mrs. Hunter said we can make anything work as long as we plan it.
Right.
It's when we're not able to plan it.
Maybe make the meeting for the 14th, and then if we have an emergency and have a reason to have a second meeting,
Then
is that
we'll
all right
just
with
do
you?
that, right,
Okay.
because actually it's before we begin to look at budgets and
Yeah, we should be wrapped up with budgets.
hopefully,
Yeah.
right. But if we need a meeting, then,
So we'll hold the 28th as a possibility, but hopefully won't need a meeting because it is vacation week.
Right.
So then I'd love to suggest in January, the 11th and the 25th. Okay? And February, the 8th and the 22nd. March, the 8th and the 22nd. Right. And, then we're into busy April. The 12th of April, and then we'll plan for the 26th of April, right after the moderators meeting at
it
6:30.
actually works out.
Isn't that
really well.
great?
Right.
My gosh, can you believe it? Can you
That was
believe
quick.
it? Oh, my golly, and there we are, round the clock again. So,
And then town meetings,
that's
May
right.
1st? No, May
It's
8th.
actually May
May
7th this
7th.
year- next year.
7th and 8th.
But not the 8th. No, we're not going to say that. And then the election, so we always have a meeting then the 24th?
No, I think we have to have one before the
17th.
do.
election. You need one like the 17th.
Okay, really? Okay,
We may even need one the 3rd, depending. We have the moderators meeting on the 26th. No. So the 17th would be good.
okay,
And, if we needed something
Okay.
again, we could put something in
all right.
there.
So we put a question mark on the 3rd, we actually, I suppose, put a question mark on the 31st, but
Well, Robin, you'd be, that, if we had to do that, we would be meeting the 26th, the 3rd, and the town meeting.
Right, so we probably don't need it, but we have options, which is all you want to make sure is you have an
So
option.
as a definite then, in May, the 17th?
Right.
Okay, all right. And shall we hold off on, on June for next year? And do you try to-
Traditionally, we do wait until
That's what I
after
was
the election.
thinking. Okay. Thank you very much. I think that'll work well. And I want to say, because we have shifted things around. If you run
things
into
come up,
issues,
right,
if
just-
you run into a travel issue or whatever, if any of us, please, we can always reschedule.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you. Would you mind, Greer, speaking to the Glidden Conservation Fund? You did that so eloquently before. Yeah. But you did.
Just say ditto.
Sure. The Conservation Commission is requesting the approval of monies from the Glidden Conservation Gift Fund, approval of a gift, partial expenditure of the Glidden Gift Fund, and they would use it to survey and place bounds on their easement off of Ben Arthur's Way.
Excellent. Any questions from the board?
Does this impact the development, or is this being impacted by the development, which is just north of Ben Arthur? Is that the, one of them?
I'm
No,
unsure.
this is just marking out an existing easement.
Marking out the what?
Easement.
Easement. My understanding is that there has been lots of conversation about the development that's just east of Ben Arthur's Way.
There may be, but this wouldn't affect that because it's on the ground, it's just a matter of marking it out.
And do we know, are they using small concrete markers? Are they sinking the metal rods? Do we know?
I don't know.
Yeah, what they have done so far is they have GLM Engineering
Okay.
do a survey, and they set up and stake lots. I do not know how
Okay.
to mark that.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like from the explanation here, potentially they're just connecting two easements to one another, if I'm reading it correctly, that already exist.
Yeah, the easements exist, this is just
Right.
marking
Right, so, right.
on the ground.
Excellent. There is such a desire to tie the TTOR properties together, Rocky Woods with Noannet, and I think that this is probably a step in that direction.
Well, when you're out walking in these areas, it's good to make sure you're not on private property
Exactly.
and you're following the rights of way or
That's
easements.
exactly right.
So then I'll make a motion
Good.
to accept the gift of $1,200 from the Glidden Conservation Gift Fund for the purpose of marking easements that already exist in Ben Arthur's Way.
Second is,
All in favor? Aye.
I'd like to thank the
Yes.
Arthur Boynton Glidden Fund.
Right.
do the easements have are they, like you asked Candace, are they round or a specific color, or have they traditionally been something that's noticeable, marked by, some specific type of, I ride in that area, I ride up to the lookout on the other side of the street, and I've never noticed any type of markings. But the paths are very well defined.
When I was on Concom, we did have different ways of marking. Sometimes markers were actually boulders that were put into place so that no one could trespass. In some cases, I know from my own property, there's it's an enormous, deep stake of metal that stands about 1 inch above the ground. In other words, I can mow right over the top with no difficulty, but it is very definitely a very old marker, old. And then I also know that sometimes bounds that are used on private property to help a homeowner understand the, say, in some cases, the beginning of the wetlands and that they're not supposed to mow over, will sometimes be like a little, like a concrete cube that's very, it certainly is not movable and it's not anything that anyone could mow over, but that's part of the intent. So it sort of depends on the purpose.
That's great, thank you.
And who would like to speak about accepting the gifts from Dover Foundation in the open fields?
Mrs. Pugatch is on a roll.
Good.
Can do that.
It's great, thank you.
And by the way, you were much more eloquent than I.
Oh, no.
So thank
No.
you for helping to explain that. So the Carroll Management Advisory Committee is requesting that the board accept restricted gifts from the Dover Foundation and also from Open Fields. What they would like to do is put up signage at the Carroll Community Center as similar to what already exists and the Selectmen have approved for the Dover Historical Society with the frames. And they have a sign that opens so you can slide in and change the photographs.
Oh, nice.
And so they, would like to sort of mirror that for these other existing programs to, help to inform passersby of what they're doing.
Wonderful, and they're also very attractive in
They're
their
beautiful.
hallway, so it'll be wonderful. Any questions about that? Have you seen them by any chance?
I've
Already
seen them,
that?
yeah,
They're very
right,
nice.
they're very
Have you
nice.
seen
That's
them?
great. I have.
Yeah, they are, they're nice. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the donations of $136 each from the Dover Foundation and from Open Fields, and thank the Green Fields and thank the Dover Foundation.
Absolutely. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent.
Candace?
And now we're moving on to a very interesting part of the meeting, a very interesting part because it involves all the townspeople and it involves all our boards and commissions and it's the appointments and it is the season where indeed some vacancies come up on some of the various boards and commissions, and we have citizens groups that have expressed an interest in filling these positions, and what we would like to do is compile a list that will be in a couple weeks' time, certainly within 3 weeks' time, be posted on the website so that people can look up and say, oh, how wonderful, there is a spot open on historical, or there's a spot open on one of the other boards. And I also want to say to everyone who's interested, who has a thought of perhaps participating, number one, thank you, and that would be great. And number two, remember all of these meetings in town are open meetings. So at any point, if you have an interest and you are curious about what a meeting, how it runs, and who's on the on the board and whatnot, watch the website, look at the meeting schedule, and come to and attend a meeting and sit here. We have many chairs. We could have many people looking here tonight, but we have Mr. Clark. Thank you very much for being here. And I just want everyone to know that that's going to be an option, that we'd love to have people fill some of these spots that come available. Mr. Clark.
Would you please add that there are 2 open slots at the moment for the developing Board of Health Water Resource Study Committee?
2 slots. Okay,
And
excellent.
I'll be very frank, I'm hoping to find 2 residents who are substantially younger than I am.
Is that age discrimination?
No, we have a consistent problem that we get people who are of an age where they don't represent the burgeoning school, children, youth area. And when you approach people of that age group, they are, of course, very busy, dealing with their children, and it's difficult to get involved, and yet they're a critical component of the population.
You're absolutely right. And actually, in some cases, the group that has expressed an interest in filling some of these spots are, in fact, many of the people who've been very involved in other issues in the last couple of years here in town. So yes, I hope it's a nice segue in, and you make a great point. So, for everyone to hear, 2 open spots on the Water Study Committee. Would be great.
And we will add that to the list. And
That's
and I
right.
think it's important to point out that there are members of committees whose terms have expired, and it has been a tradition in Dover that those members have the first right of refusal as to whether or not they want to re-up for that committee or move on. And so it may appear that we have a lot of open spots, but we really need to reach out to the various committees to determine whether those members want to re-up for that position or not. So we ask everyone for their patience, and it is our commitment to all of you that we will have a list of actual open positions by our next meeting.
And the other thing I wanted to say, and we were talking about this, it is summer, and there are many boards and commissions that suspend meetings until the fall. So if by any chance there is a group that we are not representing with a list, it's because we haven't been successful in reaching the members of the group. It'll have to wait till fall. But our goal is to make this available for people to consider and for people to be able to visit. I think it would be great. So what we've done is each of us has taken a series of pages and will be responsible for contacting those people on those committees on those particular pages. So we won't go through this at this particular point. However, we do have 3 slots where Board of Selectmen send out selectmen to be voting members, participating members on 3 committees in town. One is CMAC, one is capital budget, and the third one is long-range planning. And so I would like to make a motion that we appoint Robin Hunter to be the member representing the Board of Selectmen, but to be a member on the Capital Budget Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you very much for doing that.
It's my pleasure.
I'd also love to make a motion to appoint John Jeffries to be the selectman on the Long Range Planning Committee.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
John, I've really enjoyed the Long Range Planning Committee, and it was an honor to work with them on the green communities, and they're now energized about housing and potentially putting a housing plan of sorts in place, so I think you'll enjoy working with them.
Thank you.
As a group. So contact Jack, he'll be happy to hear from you.
And I would entertain a motion if you would like me to join CMAC.
If you like, I can make the motion for you to be the voting member of the Board of Selectmen, and you, meaning Candace McCann of CMAC. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So I think this is a great way that the 3 of us can actually fan out and
And try to get it done quickly.
exactly. So we will be attending those meetings. We will become members of those various committees.
We also have some high achievers on certain committees that have sent us renominations that they'd like us to make.
Oh,
this
excellent.
evening. So if you like, I can
I'd
do
love it
this.
if you would do
Right,
that.
so the first high achiever on our list is the Conservation Committee, and the board would like to recommend to us that we reappoint John Sullivan and Tim Holliner for another 3-year term. Their terms are expiring.
I absolutely second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And thank you to John and Tim for their many years of service and really great contributions to that board.
Absolutely. In fact, I want to say, talk about timely, John Sullivan is currently the chair. So this is very, very timely. So, and Tim has been on, if I understand, If I remember, Tim Holliner has been on Concom since 91, I believe, 17 or 18 years. So long, long commitment and service to Concom. Invaluable.
And the next committee that sent us some reappointments, again, is the Recycling Committee, who has been very, very active over the last couple of years. And they would like to reappoint Wendy Mueller and Savita Shukla for a new 3-year term on recycling.
Excellent.
And these are both, contributing members to that committee. They've done a lot of work. It's a very energized committee. And I know many residents in Dover are interested in recycling or in things that they're doing, but don't have the time to be a full-fledged member. And just a reminder, those meetings are open to everybody, and this is a group that would really love to have some additional support for some of the tasks that they're undertaking.
Excellent, excellent. It's the epitome of a groundswell committee.
Right.
So that's wonderful. Do I hear a motion?
So I made a motion, so
Oh,
I
I
need a second.
apologize.
Second.
Wait, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
And I believe the next piece is housekeeping to a certain extent. The following equipment will be brought to the transfer station. This is a routine approval that goes through that we bring forward to the townspeople. The following equipment of IT will be brought to the transfer station for recycling with the Board of Selectmen's approval. It is all worthless due to being extremely outdated, and none of it works. It is all either broken and/or the hard drives have been removed. So it's a list of computers, monitors, and printers submitted by Bill Clark.
So 16 computers.
5 monitors, right, and 6
And
printers.
6 printers.
Excellent.
So I make a motion that we accept this recommendation for IT equipment disposal.
Excellent.
Seconded.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Bill.
And we will note, since we just appointed recycling committee members, that these will be properly disposed of.
That's right. That's exactly right. Now we're moving on to talk about the highway bids, to award the highway bids. This is in catch basin cleaning bid. The bids for the catch basin cleaning were opened on Thursday, June 1st. I am asking your approval. This is Craig Hughes, our chief. I am asking your approval to award the bid to the lowest bidder, BMC Corporation, for $26.33 per basin, for a total of $56,451.52. Do I hear a motion?
I have a question.
Oh, of course.
What was the price in prior year? Is it similar?
$29.50 a
Since
basin.
last year, okay. All right, so
It's
this-
come down,
Yeah, it
actually.
has come down. I did not see that.
That's wonderful. So,
So I make a motion to accept the offer to BMC Corp. for basin cleaning at $26.33 per basin, for a total cost of $56,451.52.
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Also from Mr. Hughes, we have pavement markings bid. The bids for pavement markings were opened on Thursday, June 1st, and I'm asking your approval to award the bid to the low bidder, Highway Safety Systems, for $36,460. The 2017 low bid was $38,697.50. So again, it has dropped $2,200
I
from
wonder
a
if
year
it's
ago.
because the cost of commodities have gone down somewhat.
That's probably part of it.
In the, yeah, so I
What
move
are
that we
pavement
accept
markings?
The center lines and the fog lines on the road.
I move that we accept the bid from Highway Safety Systems of $36,460.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, excellent. And lastly, again, from Mr. Hughes, we have bituminous concrete in-place bids. The bids for bituminous, am I saying it correctly, Mr. Ramsey? Bituminous concrete type 1 in place were opened on Thursday, June 1st. Busy day that was. I'm asking your approval to award the bid to the lowest qualified bidder. That was T.L. Edwards. He is quoting us $68.25 per ton, and the last year's cost was $66.83 per ton. So this is up just slightly, $1.40
So
per
this
ton.
blows my theory.
So I move, Madam Chair, that we accept the bid of TL Edwards, Inc. at $68.25 per ton.
Thank you. Do I hear-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Madam
That's
Chair.
great, thank you.
Dave, is that the crush seal? Is that the top seal? Is that what it is?
That's the asphalt.
Asphalt
Black
seal.
stuff, yep.
Which we need at the bottom of our street because Candace has caused a pothole at the bottom of Wheaton Hill, so pretty sure it was her.
You mean from getting my tire into spinning?
It's the rains. That's what Craig said to me the other day.
Actually, I'm looking for your boot.
Blame this on it.
Did
She's still
anybody
looking
ever
for my
find
boot.
it?
Just one boot.
I'll bet you the corgis under that fence took that
Took
boot
the boot.
home. That's my guess.
Your
Excellent.
favorite toy.
That's exactly right.
Never to be seen
And it's in
again.
such condition that no one could ever own it at this point anyway,
Well,
right?
nobody would admit they.
That's right.
Is it-
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yep. Excellent. We have a reserve fund transfer for building maintenance. The amount requested is $13,000. The present balance in that account is minus $1,756.94. These are costs related to the repair of the boilers at the Carroll Community Center. Unforeseen a month and a half ago, I guess. It was right before town meeting, wasn't it?
Well, we actually, we lost one in the fall.
Right.
And then we presented a prior notice then, and then one in the spring.
Right, so they failed, and hopefully, stay tuned, we'll be talking much more about this, but we do need the reserve fund transfer. So I would say, I move that we accept the transfer from the reserve fund of $13,000 to cover for the costs related to the repair of the boilers at Carroll Community.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Now, for all of our audience, I know you're accustomed to our going through a number of special licenses, but I will tell you that there are many, many tonight, in part because there is a festival in July that has 20 vendors. So each one of those is its own license, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask one of you if you'd like to read, at least start reading the licenses down, and rather than stopping and signing, we will all sign after the meeting closes so that people won't have to hear us shuffling 40 licenses 3 places.
I think that's an excellent idea.
I would be happy to
Wonderful.
take the Connor Center.
Good.
Seems to be the first. So at Boston College Connor Center, we have the Woods School dining, dinner meeting, a wedding, which is on the 15th, a wedding on the 16th at Elm Bank.
These were retroactive.
These are retroactive. Thank you very much. A wedding at the Connor Center on the 17th, a celebration at the Connor Center on the 18th, Boston College health meeting and reception at Connors on the 19th, a wedding on the 24th, and another celebration at BC on the 25th and the 27th, the Boston College Trustees Cocktail Party. On July 1st, a wedding at the Connors Center, and then on July 3rd, wedding at Elm Bank. Again, 4 events at the Connors Center on July 7th, 8th, 10th, all dinners, wedding, and a BC higher education event on the 10th and 11th and 12th, all at the Connors Center. So the Connors Center is getting a lot of use. On July 16th at Elm Bank, and then again, which is the festival that Candace is referring to.
20 vendors.
That's the 20 vendors.
Right.
So that sounds like an event that should not be missed. July 16th. So finally, 17th, 18th, 19th, all at the Connor Center conference dinners, and we at the Boston College Roach Center is the Roach Center conference dinner at the Connor Center. Finally, the 25th, a Elm Bank event, and the 30th, a wedding at Elm Bank.
Thank you very much. That's excellent.
Busy week.
And of course, Chief McGowan has approved all of these, signed off on all of these, so thank you all. We will, and again, Mrs. Pugac, thank you for the idea. We'll sign off camera when the meeting is over. Thank
Maybe
you.
a
very
new
much.
tradition, because everybody
It
says
is.
how noisy it is.
Well, it is, it's rattle, rattle, rattle. Right, exactly. So I think that's a great idea. Thank you very much. We'll sign.
And the chief did agree to our bike ride again, our race, so in September.
Good.
Excellent.
That's not on here. though.
Officer Harry, not yet.
You know, I have to say, I was touched. Many of the officers came
They
tonight.
didn't come sit down.
I know, and they didn't come in, but they came and they obviously ushered Chief McGowan here, and they wanted, I guess, to welcome their new special officer. And I thought it was a lovely thing, because what started as two standing with Chief McGowan ended up, as I glanced out, there were 4 or 5 out there waiting. So I wish I had gestured for them to come in, but it's such a very, very close-knit police group. We're very lucky in town, and it's such a credit to Chief McGowan. I mean, the men and women love him, obviously, as we do. The last thing I would like to say is talking about our minutes from the last meeting. I know, John, you were not here, but Robin, did you have any questions?
No, we held the fort, John.
I
We
know.
held down the fort.
No.
I was very busy.
We know that.
Yes,
So
you-
were we.
In fact, I want to thank John. John spoke beautifully at graduation the next night after the meeting, and you attended the awards ceremony.
Yes.
You had a son graduating and winning an award, and you were exactly where you needed to be. We missed you, but you were where you
Thank you
needed to be.
very much.
But I have no changes whatsoever to these beautiful minutes. Do you?
I do not.
I would entertain a motion.
Even though John wasn't in attendance, he can still write the minutes.
He can still sign them as a clerk,
Okay,
yes,
all right.
as long as they're duly approved.
Okay. So then I make a motion, to approve the minutes of May 31st as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.
And in case nobody noticed, that Eversource pole did go up on I noticed they were done with the construction.
That's great. Citizens' comments, Mr. Clark?
Yes, I have 2 specific comments to make. One, you may have already received by way of word from Mr. Ramsey or Ms. Pugac. I wanted to make really a commendation of Bill Clark as the IT manager. He, over a number of months, has worked with the Board of Health, and it's been an arduous process because the Board of Health had been very rigidly embracing the Bob Cratchit method of record keeping. And we had a meeting on Tuesday morning with him. And it was very well handled. He's come up with a plan that works very well. And what really was the perfect picture at the end was that the Board of Health employees were both exhilarated, were enthusiastic, were excited at the ability to improve the efficiency and improve the validity of the data that will be captured in all respects. So I wanted to make clear that that was very, very well appreciated.
It's wonderful.
Well, thank you
Excellent.
very
Thank you.
much.
And will you tell Bill?
No, absolutely not.
That would be wonderful. you'll tell,
We'll ask
right.
him to watch. so
Right.
he can-
That's wonderful, thank you very much.
The other question, or I have a question for you, and that is, I would request that the board consider in the next several weeks the possibility of holding a portion of its meeting in executive session relative to a contract negotiation. As you, I'm sure, are aware, the town entered into a contract with the former Dover Water Company on July 22nd of 2010 as a means of resolving the difficulty of not having a proper source of water for what was then known as the Dover Town System, the Dover Water Distribution System. And that was then again renewed in July of 2013 for a 3-year period. And then it was renewed again for a 4-year period, and that's now expiring in this coming month. And while it's, I think, evident to anyone that there will not be any real choice but to extend it again, the Board of Health does have some thoughts on this and would request some discussion which may necessitate executive session.
I appreciate that. My thought right from here is on our next meeting at the 20th of July, we are going to invite certainly you, anyone from your committee, as well as the people from Colonial, and so we should have an opportunity to hear and let the people hear any of the questions that you might have. If at that point it appears that there might be something that needed to be discussed in executive session, we could certainly arrange that at that time, but I think I'd like to, if it's all right with you, consider this to be a part of the open meeting for July 20th at this point. Is that fine with you?
I think so. If Mr. Clark has any thoughts about why an executive session, if he could contact me.
Okay, that would be great.
Yes, that would be
Would you
great.
mind if you could have that conversation?
David and I communicate very well.
Okay, that's great.
And often.
Yes.
So then the agenda item for that meeting would be to discuss renewal of the
Correct.
contract?
No, actually, you will be up against the wall. Technically speaking, the Colonial Water Company, clearly against its own interests, would have the right to terminate the agreement on the 31st if you didn't act to extend it. Now, you know and I know they're not going to do that. but-
On July the 31st?
Yes,
Okay.
but contractually, it expires now on July 31.
But you're right, I wouldn't expect that that would be in their interest.
No.
Right, right. So because it's
Perhaps
summer,
if we could just get a copy of the contract to be
I
prepared.
can send that to you.
That's all right, we have it, thank you.
okay, that's fine, thank you very much. And thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for your kind words for Mr. Clark.
Oh, it's wonderful.
From Mr. Clark to Mr. Clark.
Right, that's
Which
right.
Mr., one with an E, one without an E, right?
That's right, that's right. Thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, unless there's anything that,
I move that we adjourn this very first meeting of our new chair. Fabulous job.
thank you very much.
There's a lot on the agenda.
Thank
Right.
you. Well, thanks to all of you. Thank you very much. This is such a team effort. I really appreciate it. Really. I would hear a second?
Second, I
Oh,
second.
great. All in favor? Aye. Thank
We're
you.
ready to sign now.
Right.
Start signing.
That's right.